What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to TRU Raider Podcast. I'm your host, TRU Raider. Now, today I want to talk about a recap on day one of the tampering period of free agency. And there's a couple of players that we lost that I'm kind of upset about, some that I'm not really. So players that we lost were Robert Spillane, which I'm definitely upset that we lost Robert Spillane. He did sign a pretty decent contract with the Patriots, and I kind of understand why we didn't keep him. I think it was just a little too rich for our blood. And then we also lost Trayvon Merrick, which I'm upset about that one. He did sign a deal for $51 million. So, I get why we let him walk. And then, the other two that I'm not really too upset about is Nate Hobbs, which Nate Hobbs, I really like Nate Hobbs a lot, but the dude cannot stay healthy, right? And so I'm not overly concerned about the fact that we lost Nate Hobbs. And then linebacker Divine Diablo is signing a deal with the Falcons, and I am totally okay with that. In fact, I am happy that Divine Diablo is walking because he has been an absolute liability. Yeah, he had moments where he kind of shined, but for the most part, he gave up really big plays at key moments. And a lot of times, the tackles that he's getting is because he missed assignment and he's running after them. So I'm totally fine with Divine Diablo walking. Last night, we signed linebacker from the Steelers, Landon Roberts. Now, I compared this dude's stuff to Robert Spillane, and honestly, he's like a cheaper version of Robert Spillane. Yeah, maybe he won't have quite as much production or quite the fit. That's yet to be determined. But, across the board, he had kind of a down year last year, but the couple of years prior, the dude reminds me a lot of Robert Spillane, and I get why we went that route because he's much, much cheaper than Robert Spillane. I actually don't have the numbers right in front of me. I should have. But we did sign him to, I believe it was a 1-year deal for I want to say it was like $3 million, right? Definitely a lot cheaper than Spillane and pretty comparable replacement. So I'm happy about that. We did lose Divine Diablo, so I have a feeling that Tommy Eichenberg's going to get an opportunity, either that or we might make another move at linebacker. Keep an eye out for that. Another one is we lost Trayvon Merrick, and we replaced him with safety Jeremy Chin. He came over from the Commanders. His deal is a whole lot cheaper than Merrick's. I believe it was a $16 million deal for 2 years, and Merrick just signed a $51 million deal. And their stats are pretty comparable, right? I feel like it's the cheaper version. I feel like they did a good job of replacing Merrick and Spillane with Roberts and Chin. Just kind of having a comparable replacement for a way cheaper price. That way we have money to allocate in other areas. So I'm happy about those moves. And then we also signed defensive back Lonnie Johnson. Now, Lonnie Johnson Jr., the dude is, I doubt that he's going to be getting starting reps, honestly. This looks like a depth piece, one of those depth signings that, honestly, I can't even say a whole lot about the guy. I just like that we're picking up depth pieces because that's very important. We saw last year this team was riddled with injuries, especially on our defensive side. And if we lack depth, then we're going to struggle if we end up seeing some of those same kind of injury concerns. So I'm happy about that one. The one that I am probably the most happy, the two actually, are Malcolm Kuntz, who signed a prove-it deal, 1 year, $12 million. He's coming back from the ACL injury. Very happy to see Malcolm Kuntz coming back to the Silver and Black. And then another one is Adam Butler. We did re-sign Adam Butler's $16 million deal. So our defensive line, it's very clear to me that, when we watched the Super Bowl, when we watched really the playoffs this last season, the teams that were winning were doing a rush four. They weren't blitzing a real whole lot, but they were doing a rush four, and they were getting pressure on the quarterback with the front four, and then they were dropping 7. And it really looked like the recipe for success. And with this front four being Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Adam Butler, and Malcolm Kuntz, we'll finally get to see this defensive line that we were supposed to have this last year before injuries just kind of decimated it. So, very happy about these signings. I definitely got to just mention that we did cut center Andre James. It's not officially official yet. He is designated to be cut, so we're going to be able to save some money there. Also, Garner Minshew is designated to be cut. We're going to save some money there. And then we did trade for Geno Smith, as everybody already knows. We traded a third-round pick for him, and I'm getting a little confused because I'm getting conflicting information. I know Tashawn Reed said that Geno Smith's $30 million, I think it's $31 million that's owed to him for 2025 is not supposed to count against our salary cap. I did see somebody else that was saying that that's yet to be determined, so we'll see what that ends up looking like. But right now, it looks like we're going the safer, cheaper route on a lot of options. We didn't go out there day one and overspend like a lot of teams and that are, going to ultimately put yourself in trouble. It's like you go to a car dealership and they say, yes, we're going to go ahead and sell you this car today with 20% interest. And it's like, oh, they said yes, so I'm just going to sign it. And then all of a sudden you put yourself in quite the hurt down the line because you signed a bad deal, right? And so far we haven't signed any of those bad deals. I'm happy with what the Raiders are doing. We also picked up interior offensive lineman Alex Capo, who was ranked as the worst offensive lineman last year. I'm not too worried about that because I don't think that he's coming in to be a starter. He is a John Spytek guy. He did play with Brady over there in Tampa Bay, and he played a lot better in previous seasons than he did this last year. So I'm not overly concerned about the dude. Just another depth piece, and I think that we really need to have just competition and depth on this offensive line. I will be putting out more videos as we get more signings. You guys keep an eye out for it. Like always, I love you, nation. I'll catch you on the next one.